Welcome back to Cool Clubs Reviews, and by popular demand, I would say, this is the 90-mile-an-hour test on the Titleist T-100 2023 version.
Yep.
So, I mean, we kind of set ourselves up for this, right? We said, Titleist said it's one of the #1 clubs on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
We said it's for a better player, and then we tested it at 80 miles an hour, and everyone blew up. We get it? We get it? So here it is, 90-mile-an-hour test. We don't need to talk about it. We know what it looks like. We've done that. If you want to know that, go to the 80 mile an hour. Let's just dive into the details here, Mark.
Sure.
What are you seeing there?
Well, I mean, obviously it's the longest ones in the center, which is what you'd want anyway. They're pretty linear, and even low heel is pretty linear, so everything keeps in line pretty well, which is a good sign. 172 carry, that's it's about average for the loft it is, right? So nothing crazy as far as it being a springy hot face or anything. Tour performance is very consistent around the middle. Stopping power is good, and spin launch is pretty high. Yep. Although it is a touch lower than what it was last year.
Right, yeah.
And it was one of the highest ones, yeah.
Like
So so they did, and they made the interesting thing about this year is the spin launch. I mean, this is a little bit lucky too. Exactly the same number between the 150 and the 100 were exactly the same.
Right,
so
true.
if you mix them, you're not going to see any difference in how they spin. So
yep.
that's a bonus.
Yeah. Well, everyone's right. This player that should be playing this probably should be near a 90.
Right.
Titleist have gone for the three Ds, and the dispersion is good. The distance is. You're not playing this as a distance iron.
No, it's not a distance iron.
That game. And the stopping power, is really, really good. So the descent angle and the spin, it's a player's iron. And what we've got there, the heel, ironically, is a very, very good miss hit in this iron.
Yeah.
It's actually up there with the center. And actually, that's funny. So some of this is, right, they've drilled out and made a little less weight in the hosel, dragged the weight out towards the toe to try and make it a little less...
Well, there's a little more tungsten moved around, so
right.
it's obviously stabilizes it some. And it probably should be tested at 90 miles an hour. That's the majority of the people. But, certainly, even their lower club at speed tests and stuff, I mean, this could be a 5 or 6 handicap good player that not interested in distance. I mean, it definitely crosses both categories.
I have sold, not this version because it hasn't been out long enough yet, but I've sold T100s to guys up in the 10 handicap range, just good pickers of the ball, need a bit of spin, get it in the air, like it's no problem. Right. It's kind of forgiving. So I wouldn't be afraid to give this to guys a little bit higher up there, but this is
single digits probably.
Yeah, this is designed.
There's no reason that we have 20 handicap using them, but it's pretty broad range.
Yeah, actually, let's just touch on the handicap thing a lot. I think a lot of people see these graphs, and I'm probably going to put you on the spot here now, but so they see the players' irons and the graphs are all smaller, and they're like, well, that's forgiveness. And then the game improvement irons or stuff in the middle there, you see the hot spot in the middle and the graph stretches out a little bit. Like, just touch on how that affects players in real life.
Well, I mean, realistically, what you want ideally is them all go the same distance no matter where you hit them, right?
Right.
So we're kind of looking at that and how it disperses over different spots on the face. But there's no real right or wrong. And then obviously when you go up in club at speed, you get more distance, the graphs go out more, right? So, it's all relative to apples. So I think if you compare one to another and you look at the same speeds and the same sound of information, it tells you where they're good, where it's a good spot to hit them, where not. I think what we do with the drivers is pretty useful, people hit on the toe or the heel more. Yep. So it's basically looking at, how it works overall.
I just think, the players that need the game improvement information, they're missing a lot more, right? So right. The actual center strike is something they should look at later down the line. It's really like, where did the mishits go, and like that should be their baseline distance. They should never be banking on hitting the center every single time. They should be bank on what their average distance is, which is some sort of correlation of all the mishits put together.
There's no question about that. And if you look at the average middle handicap golfer, they're short like 90% of the time.
Right, yeah. Because they bank on their best of the best of the best.
Exactly, and I kind of get missing it sometimes. And if I hit it really good sometimes, I get screwed because I knock it over the greens.
Yeah.
So, so it can go the other way. But in general, you should look at what your average shot goes, just for the most part, not where your dead solid perfect one does, especially in higher handicaps.
Sure, cool. Well, thank you, Mark.